So I've been working a lot this week on different kinds of dark industrial type sound cues, and I've learned a lot about my own compositional process and how many of the things that I've done traditionally with melody and harmony and rhythm just don't translate to these sort of soundscape type tracks, right? So I'm talking about if you're using melody and harmony, you're integrating a key and you've got your chords, you've got a melody over the top, and that all of that comes together along with rhythm, beats, and things like that in a very traditional structure to music. And that's what a lot of us work with. But if you're looking to create something that's more ethereal, I want to hesitate to use mood-oriented words like that, but textures rather than music of that traditional kind, it can be really challenging. So I've really been investigating that this week, and I wanted to share some of my discoveries and maybe an approach that might be new for some of you out there. And that is this idea of actually composing with parameters. So in other words, I may be used to creating a motive in my music, a motive being a very small musical idea like dun 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 dun, Beethoven motive. Creating something like that, but not out of pitch and not using rhythm or implying a harmony, instead using parameters like cutoff or decay or maybe even a note repeat, different, more modern parameters that we use to compose music, but I hadn't really started to use that as a motivic structure until this last week, really investigating it and trying to produce a collection of music based on this idea. It's been kind of bouncing around in my head for a while, and I've certainly recognized in working with synthesizers over the years that you can dramatically change the emotional impact of synthetic music using these different parameters. But I just wanted to do a demo today using probably one of the most broadly used tools for these texture style cues, and that is a granular synth. So I've got this I'm just playing kind of like some basic chords here on my keyboard. Granular synthesis does this really great job of creating textures. And with this simple example, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to record a single note, a C. I'm going to record a little bit of pitch bend over the top. So you have this kind of, right? You've definitely heard that. It's kind of like 28 Days Later style, or, zombie movie, something creepy, very modern sound, still used a lot for creating anxiety and tension. I was actually connecting with the Blade Runner 2049 soundtrack as a reference for trying to come up with some of the ideas I'm talking about today, and the granular synth just seemed like such a perfect match. Now, if I go ahead and I've got Cubase behind me, I'm just going to take myself off the picture here so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to record a little 4-bar loop. It's just a note, it's just a C, and I'm going to be doing some pitch bend on there. And this is kind of creating a motivic idea. All right, so what I have there now is you can see the CC. Let me see, how do I step out of the way? You can see the CC curve, right? That's representing pitch bend. And then I've just got a basic C note in there. Let's open it up and you can see I've just got one pitch in there somewhere. Where is it? Oh, well, it's definitely in there. Let's play it back. Or maybe the note isn't in there. Maybe that's the problem. It isn't. It isn't in there. So I recorded the CC and not the note. So let's go ahead and record that again. And I'm looking for something kind of spooky, something kind of eerie. And so I get this example here, and let's just listen to that. All right, so it's got this pitch bend. Pitch bend's really effective for creating suspense because the sort of vagueness of it creates a sense of anxiety in us, right? Because it's hard to get our bearing with a bending pitch. But we can go one step further, and I'm going to use this cutoff. So if I go ahead and this is looping, and I mess around with cutoff, you can hear how I'm again getting interesting textures. So I'm going to go ahead and automate that using something I discussed in the last stream, which is host automation. So again, I'm going to take myself off the picture here. I'm going to enable my automation writing, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do a little cutoff kind of thing here. Like that. So now I've got automation that's running on the track below. Right down here, you can see the automation curve there. This is host automation. It's not MIDI CC automation. It's host automation being written from complete control. Go ahead and turn my automation off for that channel so things don't get confused. And let me just go and tighten up these tracks a little bit so it's a little easier to see what we're working on. So I have this now, just listening to this. The cutoff opens, cutoff closes a little bit, the pitch bend in the background. Gives me a very emotional, very effective little musical idea, which I'm choosing to consider a motive. So now I might take this knowing that I put it on a C. I could then play this over different chords. So let's say an A flat major chord where C is the third. This will have a very different sound than over a C major chord or a C minor chord, or maybe a D7 chord where C is my flat 7. I can take some traditional compositional ideas like harmony and melody, and I can apply them in that way where I've got this motive essentially, but it's not a melodic motive of a traditional kind. It's a variation on this relying on parameters, pitch bend and cutoff. But I could also bring in a lot of other parameters. Anything from an envelope is very effective, especially attack and decay. Release, of course, can be very effective, but especially attack and decay are my go-tos. Cutoff, we've talked about. Resonance is another great one. Any kind of gating, rhythmic gating. You can imagine if you were to take this and add a delay or like a heavy reverb, something that's going to echo out that brighter frequency that comes through as I open up the cutoff. Those are all parameters changing over time that I could use to expand on this motive in the same way that typical traditional theme and variation compositional approach is you take a theme and you explore different ways to convey it. You could take this motivic idea and you could explore conveying it with delay, conveying it with attack and release, conveying it with gating, conveying it with really any number of effects that create an emotional experience for you, and then you can start fleshing out a real composition. This is the approach I've taken this week to generating some dark industrial style pieces. It's worked really, really well. At some point I'll finish my collection and I'll post them and share that link, but I found this to be a very effective approach. I love working with host automation or automation in general. I love being able to work with my MIDI controllers because I feel like I'm playing an instrument rather than I don't use a pencil tool unless I have to, because I want to play instruments, and this approach satisfies that requirement for me as well. So if you have any questions, please post in the comments. Like and subscribe. It really helps my videos surface on YouTube, and I'm trying to reach more people. So thanks again, and I look forward to the next time where I'll probably expand on this a little bit more. So take care until then.